Thank you very much for inviting me for this event. So we'll straight away go to the presentation. Windforce has been listed in Colombo Stock Exchange in 2021 April with a very successful IPO. And Windforce is actually synonymous with renewable energy. So can you go back to the previous slide, if you don't mind? Okay. So we are the largest and most diversified renewable energy company in Sri Lanka. So we are responsible for end-to-end execution of renewable energy projects. Next slide, please. With that respect, actually we invest, we design, we develop, and we operate and maintain renewable energy projects, both local and international grounds. So our journey began in 2010 with the development of 20 megawatt wind power project in Puttalam, Sri Lanka. So we are the pioneers to introduce wind power to Sri Lanka. And over the years, we have steadily increased our bandwidth across renewable energy domain in local grounds and as well as in international grounds. Next slide, please. So Windforce own and operate a total of 220.1 megawatts, having 28 operational power plants at present, 22 in Sri Lanka, whereas 6 others are operated in overseas. 7 wind power plants with totaling to 69.2 megawatts, and 11 solar power plants with totaling of 124.6 megawatts, and 10 hydro plants with a total of 26.3 megawatts. As far as the energy mix is concerned, out of annual power generation, 45% comes from solar power, 35% comes from wind power, and 20% comes from hydropower. Next slide, please. So in our journey of 12 successful years of operation, our strategy was built up on 4 strategic pillars: progressive growth, operational excellence, a great place to work, and contribution to the national development agenda were among them. So we have been actually backed by very strong shareholders having very strong financial stability, and we have managed our capital in a very prudent way during all our operations and development activities. We have developed a very lucrative asset base, and in all of our plants, we have implemented state-of-the-art technological systems. So we have managed to have an ethical business conduct throughout these 12 years. And excellence in quality and strategic partnerships overseas are some of the key components of our success in the past. And we have always had a very motivated team, which was a blessing to us to come to this level of success. So the work culture and work ethic, the knowledge enhancement and health and safety and work-life balance are the most prominent aspects and the pivotal aspects of our strategies to come to this stage over the years. Next slide, please. So let's move on to the company performance during the financial year 21-22. A total annual generation of 500 gigawatt hours from all 3 sources of generation, which has counted to actually 376 1,000 metric tons saving of carbon dioxide during the year. So we have recorded a group revenue of 4.4 billion with a gross profit margin of 62% and net profit margin of 45%. We have managed to add 2.1 megawatts during the last year in solar energy, and capacity under construction is 25 megawatts. Next slide, please. So during the past year, all our plants remained fully operational throughout the year. So we have managed to achieve an excellent progress in the development of 15 megawatt wind power plant in Mana, as well as the 10 megawatt peak solar power plant in Vaunathiu. So at the same time, we have managed to secure an expansion of 30 megawatt capacity in Tororo, Uganda. And in response to the expression of interest called in November 2020, we have submitted 5 proposals, out of which 4 proposals have been shortlisted. And we have already received 3 provisional approvals to develop large-scale 2 ground-mounted solar projects and a wind power project in Hambantota. So we have managed to maintain our credit ratings with AA minus. Issuer rating was reaffirmed for the 2nd consecutive year this year. Coming up to the topic of the day, gearing up during challenging times. Let me first discuss some of the challenges we have faced during the period. Most of them are common to all of us, but let me go through some of them to give you an idea of what kind of challenges are posing in towards the renewable energy sector. Obviously, COVID-19 pandemic has impacted a lot for the development of the sector. And extraordinary challenge has come in this year because the CV has been very consistent in their payments during the past, but this year we have had an extraordinary delay in payments for the energy supply. Now it has accumulated for over 10 months now, totaling to more than, nearly 3 billion rupees for Windforce and around 30 billion to the sector. So we have observed increase in material costs in the global markets, especially impacted to the pricing of solar modules and wind turbines. So this has very adversely affected our development, the projects under development. Inevitably, the fuel shortage has slowed down the progress of the ongoing projects. And the exorbitant freight cost has actually increased our project cost in a significant way, because at the time of bidding, the pricing were at a very nominal levels, but when it comes to the execution, all of a sudden we have observed exorbitant freight costs in material shipment. So that has very badly impacted our progress of the ongoing projects. The rising bank interest will definitely have a very negative impact in the development of new projects in the future, as well as for the operational power plants which are having debt financing to be settled. So and we have always observed delays in project award from authorities, mainly from CB and Sustainable Energy Authority and Ministry of Power and Energy are the 3 institutions responsible for awarding renewable energy projects in Sri Lanka. So we have always observed a very long delays in project awards. This has very badly impacted the development of the renewable energy sector. So power shedding has had an impact on the rooftop installations. Of course, in the areas where the bigger power plants are located, no power shedding was in the daytime. But we have observed actually power shedding in rooftop has affected very badly for the rooftop installations in various areas. So rupee depreciation against US dollar has adversely affected our project implementation because at the time of bidding, we were around the dollar rate of 200 or 194, whereas we have experienced 370 or even higher at the time of the LC retirement. So this has actually impacted a lot on the project cost to increase even more than double the initial estimate of project cost. So for the operational power plants, we always import spare parts, and especially for the wind power plants, we have to have a continuous supply of spare parts to operate and maintain them. So certain impact, the import restrictions have very badly impacted the maintenance and the operational activities for the operational power plants. So lack of adequate dollar liquidity also has a very negative impact on the day-to-day operations. And restrictions on LC terms, like the requirement of 90-day usance LC for the project cargo is also because by the time the LC retirement is effected, the dollar rate has increased. So because of that, actually, especially in the Vaunathu solar power project, we have had a very big impact on the project cost because the solar modules have arrived in the month of March, where the LC has had to be retired in another 3 months' time. So near hyperinflation situation also has created a lot of impact on the ongoing projects and as well as for the operational projects. So going forward, now the suppliers are insisting on confirmed LC terms. So it will be a huge challenge for the future because the future projects, then there will be a big impact by requesting for confirmed LC terms, where we will have to take the burden of additional expenses, and it's very difficult to get these terms confirmed from banks. So let me discuss how we face the challenges. So innovations was the backbone of Windforce. So we continue to innovate within the business to sustain in our project pipeline. So our teams focused on creating self-sustaining systems to support operations. We were actually very heavily dependent on inputs from overseas while performing our operation and maintenance, as well as the construction activities of projects, especially in the areas where the heavy transport of equipment and during the erection of equipment. So we have actually managed to reduce our dependence on import, the overseas inputs. So we were also able to transform our operational modalities to increase the efficiency and lower costs. So forward-thinking strategies have prepared us to raise above economic instability and ensure our team spirit. So, as I explained, we have gradually phased out all our outsourcing in O&M activities as well as in the project development activities. So, prudent management of project cost secured our project financing for expanding projects. As a measure to the power shed, as a solution to the power shedding, so we have our research teams have managed to develop a hybrid solution to operate even during the power shedding durations to dispatch the power. Here are a few photographs from the 15 megawatt Mana wind power project site. So as you can see, the initial project cost estimate was rupees 3 billion at the exchange rate of 200, where it has gone up to 6.6 billion with the increase of exchange rate to 370. This is the Solar Universe agrivoltaic solar power plant in Batiklo. So we have initiated the agricultural process with local farmers in the area of Vanuatu. And you can see the initial project cost estimate was 1.4 billion, where with the revised US exchange rate, it has gone up to 2.4 billion. So for the future, so the government is having a 70% target of renewable energy by 2020. So we have no doubt that the government will commit to the renewable energy mandate. So future of our business will remain firmly anchored to Sri Lanka's goal of expanding its renewable energy bandwidth. However, I'm sure that the next 2 years may still be somewhat challenging for renewable energy sector because of this challenging environment. So African region is very promising for renewable energy. So our long-term plans look at wide expansion in African region. At the same time, we are currently working on a very innovative e-mobility solution, which will commercialize very soon, and it will give Windforce the first mover advantage in the e-vehicle space. So we see a huge growth opportunities overseas for Windforce to deepen its presence. Thank you.